maybe we can solve this case in 30 minutes.
Maybe.
It is a tutorial case.
Okay.
Then maybe they'll keep it short. Please,
so you have
God.
to read it every time I change lines, right?
No. Hello, everybody. Oh my God, my voice just broke. It's like midnight. I've been doing a crazy voice for the last 2-3 hours. Like an amount of voices. But anyway, hello everybody and welcome back to B-Buds. I'm Yoshi.
And I'm gonna solve this case.
That's Charlie, and we're back playing Tyrion Cuthbert, attorney of the Arcane. The not Ace Attorney, but it's magic. Ooh.
I'm gonna press him.
Wow.
At what time exactly did you get this call, and who discovered the body?
The call... That's too calm of a voice. The call came in at 1:25 a.m. As for the witness who discovered it, he wanted to remain incognito.
Oh, that's you. I almost took the narrator. God.
Oh my God. It's not unusual for a witness to stay anonymous. It's well within their right. But this would be a lot easier if you could question the witness directly. What happened when you arrived, Commander? Well, it was right here.
How did you know that the sword was my client's?
Her sword is made out of some kind of... God, I can never get back into this voice. Her sword is made out of some kind of special alloy. I think it was forged out of the country or something. It'd be hard to mistake something like that. We also have several eyewitnesses who verified that the sword belonged to the defendant. She made no effort to hide it from the public. It is her job, after all. Quite the contrary, she was quite proud to show it off.
But even if the sword belongs to my client, that doesn't necessarily mean that she was the one who stabbed him.
Yeah, well... We have several witnesses who heard the victim and defendant in a loud argument before the body was discovered.
How'd they know it was my client and the victim that were arguing?
You were there, weren't you? You had to have heard them, too. Every witness we talked to knew it was them.
Well...
Slam. Your Honor, it's clear that the defense is playing devil's advocate. Even he should have recognized their voices.
My eyes, they shrunk.
Well, they've got you there. That was a normal voice. The argument must have turned ugly because the defendant killed the victim using her magic sword. I think you could just contradict that one.
That's conjecture. Weren't there plenty of people around who could have committed the crime?
A whole town, in fact. That tavern has been closed for years. The defendant, the victim, and Ruby Timora were the only ones there before the body was discovered. Plus, What? The defendant?
Yeah, what?
She what? And you.
Yeah.
The defense attorney. Why? Am I not a person? Are we not a person anymore?
He literally just admitted that I was there, so he knows.
Plus, the murder weapon definitely belonged to her. Well, it's a given that Miss Timora didn't do this, and it'll be hard to prove that someone else was at the crime scene. But you can't help but feel that there's something off about what he just said. Me. Oh, let me look at my magic iPad. You shouldn't have panicked so much before. His testimony is straightforward, but that will actually make this much easier. Assuming that Miss McCoy is innocent, there has to be a flaw in his logic. You just need to compare every statement to each piece of evidence in your notes. Once you find a contradiction, present that piece of evidence to the contradicting statement. Awesome. We don't got a magic sword. It's a normal non-magic sword. That's you.
Objection! Commander White, you testified that the victim was killed using the defendant's magical sword. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious when you look at the crime scene.
I think I'd actually have to disagree with you on that. The defendant's sword couldn't have possibly been the murder weapon.
What are you talking about, kid? The sword was inside his body. Of course that's what killed him.
That may be the case, but take a look at the autopsy report, bitch.
What was that?
States that the fatal wound had heavy traces of magic.
What did you say?
So how would a non-magical sword leave traces of magic on the body?
Oh, well, what?
To leave a trace like that, the wound would have had to have been created with something magical. My client's sword may look fancy and expensive, but it's entirely mundane, just like her chess skills.
Hey. Well, that doesn't make a lick of sense. Alright, I guess I'm Southern now. If the sword didn't kill him, then why was it in the body?
Yes, I find that quite strange as well.
Did you change your voice? Did you change your voice too, Judge?
Well, there's only one reasonable explanation, Your Honor. The wound was created magically, and someone shoved the sword into the wound afterward.
What the hell are you talking about? The defendant is a damned mage. She could have easily killed the victim using magic and then stabbed the sword inside of him.
That may be, Commander, but why would she kill the victim using magic and then stab him with her sword? She would just be incriminating herself.
Oh, well, yeah.
And as we know, all murderers think logically all the time, especially when murdering their fathers. No, if anything, this series of events proves one thing. Someone used magic to kill the victim, and then they pushed my client's sword into the wound to frame her.
Objection! Don't get ahead of yourself.
What?
Your Honor, the defense is trying to spin the facts in his favor. Using facts. He claims that a third party committed the crime and used the sword to frame the defendant. But wouldn't the simpler explanation be this? That she's stupid. Magic was being channeled through the sword at the time of death. That is what left the magical trace on the body. Commander, please tell the defense how the murder was committed using magic.
You can't do that. It's my turn.
What? Alright. I think I see where you're going with this. Witness testimony. That's me. I'm the witness. It's true that the sword itself is magical, but magic can still be channeled through it. That defendant over there, her spell compendium has a spell called Mage Blade. She must have used it on her sword before stabbing the victim. That spell is the reason why there were traces of transmutation magic on the wound. So her spell compendium contains a spell called Mage Blade. That's good information. A spell can... Alright. What is my role here? Huh? A spell compendium is a magical device that lists every spell a mage can cast. Luckily, Celeste's compendium contains only one spell. That means she can only cast that one spell.
Why is the narrator giving us ellipses?
Yeah, that's you.
Celeste, do you have your spell compendium with you?
No, I left it at the tavern after. Well, you know. If you can't look at the description for Mage Blade, you'll have to approach this another way. I refuse to be the voice in your head if this is how I'm going. The commander's testimony was a lot vaguer this time. If you can press his statements, you might be able to find new information that you can use against him. Okay, so, well,
Pressing statements.
Oh my God.
During cross-examinations, you can press statements to acquire more information. Sometimes pressing the right statement can make the witness add a statement to their testimony. Just gonna go. Let's see. I bet we ask what it is. Mage Blade.
It's a transmutation spell that sharpens my sword. I love using it. I usually use it when I need to cut through an enemy's plate armor. You didn't realize that she led such a lethal lifestyle. Hot.
But anyway, wouldn't it be excessive for the defendant to use a spell like that on the victim? He wasn't wearing any kind of armor at the time of death.
The victim and the defendant were in an intense argument. Perhaps she used the spell in a fit of rage. It was a crime of passion, after all. Oops, I think I just poofed right into the microphone. Ugh, that theory is a little far-fetched. But you'll need hard evidence if you want to disprove it.
But why would she go to the trouble of doing that? Her sword alone would have been enough to commit the murder.
Mages are always looking for an excuse to throw their power around. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Mages are always looking for an excuse, like the king.
Yeah.
The ruling body of the city.
All of the nobles.
Oops.
Isn't that just your own personal bias, Commander?
Wham! We don't need to understand why the defendant did what she did.
Also her.
The fact of the matter is that magic was present at the crime. I don't need to understand my cases, I just need to fight them. Do you have any evidence of the contrary? You don't, yet.
If she used a spell like that, wouldn't that have created traces of magic on the ground? How so? Well, let's say we follow the prosecution's theory. That would mean that the victim fell to the ground with the sword still inside him. At this point, Mage Blade would still be active, right? It would definitely leave a magical trace on the ground after making physical contact with it.
We're already way ahead of you. We had our people scan the crime scene, and we found traces of transmutation magic right under the body, just like you said.
Oh.
If you still don't believe me, I have a picture of the crime scene right here. Oh, why was this picture not brought to my attention? There was no need. This entire case is open and shut. Crime scene picture, type clue. A picture of Flynn McCoy after he was murdered. You've seen pictures of the dead. Whoops.
What? Why is he in my head?
You've seen pictures of the dead before. But it feels different now that the body is of someone you knew. You also, I'm pretty sure, I think, saw the body? What? Looks like there are traces of magic on the ground. But this shape is a little weird, isn't it? Almost like... this is confusing. I guess it's... Yeah. What was that just now?
Well, I guess I'll present the photo. Right? Like,
I guess.
I'll present the photo to the one where they talk about the photo. Your Honor, it's clear that the witness's testimony is contradictory, and this piece of evidence proves it. I fail to see how that proves anything, Mr. Cuthbert. I guess you're right. Okay, never mind. It's definitely this thing, though. Let's take a look. Yeah.
So the sword is there, but there's also... Well, maybe you press on the other ones and then... Stab from behind? That was the front, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that was what it said.
What?
That is what it... Stab... She killed him with a stab from the front. And it is stabbed from... but died after being stabbed from behind. Got it.
But this shows a stab from the front.
Yeah. Because they... Put the sword in. Well, maybe you cops should do your job.
Objection! I'm sorry, Commander White, but it seems that you've presented another glaring contradiction.
My bad. Oh yeah? What's that?
You said that my client stabbed the victim from the front. Am I correct?
Yeah, you can see it plain in that picture. So where's your contradiction?
That's the thing, Commander. Your picture clearly shows that the victim was stabbed from the front, but the autopsy report says that he died from a stab from behind.
I don't read anything. What? Objection. Orem, you were supposed to release everything that you had. Why wasn't this photo given to me? I could have doctored it to make it look like he was stabbed from the back. There was no need. There's no way it could have been anyone other than that damn mage. Oh, what? It could have been the mage. It could have been the mage. Didn't matter how corrupt the justice system was. They wouldn't be able to cover up such a blatant You would be surprised. Inner monologue.
Wrong.
You have them right where you want them.
Actually,
Sometimes you can just commit the crime. Say you committed the crime, and pretty much they'll let you get away with it.
did I just hear he's running for president?
Celeste, you're running for president now?
Order in the court. Mr. Cuthbert, what is the meaning of this?
I just explained. What
I'll tell you what the meaning behind this is, Your Honor. As the autopsy report states, the victim died from a stab wound originating from his back. But this photo clearly shows that the sword entered from his front. This can only mean one thing. The sword was inserted into the wound after the fatal wound had already been created.
That's crazy.
Holy shit.
You honestly expect us to believe that? That's what it said.
Then please enlighten me, Commander White. How else would the sword be facing the opposite way?
You put the hilt in first, and you just kind of give it your best.
Do you think my client stabbed the victim with the hilt of her sword?
Yeah.
Check.
We're not playing chess.
I didn't think so. What really happened is clear. The real murderer stuck the sword through the victim's wound to implicate my client. But they made a careless mistake and stuck the sword through the opposite side.
Objection. It appears that I don't know why I have to object to this. This seems like...
Overruled?
Thank you. But you've still got ahead of yourself.
Really, Miss Steelwind? I believe that Mr. Cuthbert has adequately cast doubt on your case.
Oh, did he now? Then let me ask you one question, Mr. Cuthbert.
It's Cuthbert!
If your client didn't kill Flintard McCoy, then who did?
I don't think I have to figure that out.
That's not my job.
How should I know? If I'm not mistaken, it's the commander's job to figure that out.
Oh, I'm well aware of the commander's incompetence, but one fact still stands. There was magic detected on the wound and the sword. Would you like for me to tell you how many mages live in that small town? God forbid anybody travels. You don't like... You don't like where she's going with this. Just one. There's only one registered mage in that entire town. And that mage is your client.
What?
Oh, what? There's only one mage in that town? This is a small
Are
town?
you telling me that someone who murdered someone might have done something illegal, like hide their mage status?
or they don't live in the town. The defendant was also established to have been with the victim hours before his death. She was the last known person with him, and she was the only mage here. You have an entire story as an immediate eyewitness that she's out of the building. In addition to that, I have several witnesses who heard them arguing. Man, speaking this much is really taking it out on my throat.
I forgot. I saw the victim after they fought.
I think it's gonna take like another 2 hours before he realizes that. How she murdered the victim, simply an unanswered question.
I see. That certainly does change matters. I will look up at God, but I can't say that the prosecution's evidence is irrefutable. But there is still evidence that casts guilt upon the defendant. And all I need is that tiny speck.
Damn it, you almost had them.
There are far too many unanswered questions for me to pass a verdict. God, please guide me. I will give law enforcement time to clear these unknowns. I suggest that they conduct their investigation more thoroughly this time.
I would say individually, all of them conducted their respective investigations accurately. It just took one guy.
Also, this is like 12 hours later, right? Like, they haven't had time to do shit.
We will resume the trial tomorrow morning. Court is adjourned. Smack.
Oh, thank God. I'm still probably stuck with this voice, though. Oh, hello, Cuthbert.
It's Cuthbert.
As you walk out of the courtroom, Celeste, you're greeted with by Miss Timora.
Miss Timora, you're here?
Yeah. What?
You watched me play chess?
You recall how you froze up during the first cross-examination. You feel a little ashamed that your mentor saw all of that. Well, at the end of the day, you were able to pull it together. And once you did that, you performed adequately. On that note, I wanted to give you this Celeste spell compendium. Type clue. So the spell compendium contains the formula for the following spell, Mage Blade.
Wow, I could have used this during the trial. Thanks for sharing it with me now.
I just got it. Jesus. Mage Blade. School, Transmutation. Incantation, Arcane. Gesture, none. Duration, 1 minute. Concentration, yes. Duration of the spell. The edges of this object, usually a blade, become unnaturally sharp. While under the effects of the spell, the object emits a yellow radiant glow. The target object must be no larger than a 5-foot cube.
That would be really funny if you cast it like on an entire building and it just became sharp.
The floor!
My spell compendium? I swiped it from the dining area before the Inquisition arrived. I thought it'd be best for you to have it.
So, this is your spell compendium? And it only has one spell?
Yeah, you don't have to rub it in. Mage Blade!
This means that the prosecution has to prove that Celeste used that specific spell. Or they won't, actually. They almost didn't right there.
It will restrict how they approach this case, which gives you an edge over them, much like Mage Blade.
I get it.
All right. All right, chess boy. But that prosecutor is really she really didn't. Yeah, she's really something else. I wouldn't say she actually did much of anything there.
You mean Prosecutor Steelwind? The only prosecutor who was against me?
You can still remember her ripping glare. It gives you chills just thinking about it. You wouldn't even know it, but this was also her first trial. She didn't freeze up like a chess boy. Really? Oh man, she's so much better. I thought that her inexperience would make for a good first opponent.
How did you set this up?
But that girl, she's a natural in the courtroom. I'm not answering that.
How did you know she'd be the one prosecuting?
It makes me wonder why a Steelwind would choose to become an attorney in the first place. What do you mean? The Steelwinds are a powerful noble house. Of the noble families, they are one of the few who answer directly to the king. Most members of their house take high-ranking positions in the kingdom's military, so it's a bit strange that she chose to become a prosecutor despite that.
Steelwind. I feel like I've heard it somewhere before.
Oh my god.
Wait, wasn't that the prosecutor?
Oh my god! I'm gonna die! In any case, it's best that you focus on the trial. You have about a day until court about...
Tomorrow morning.
That's you.
Oh my god, it swapped to her, so I thought it was you.
No.
Right. Now that I have time, I'd like to ask you some questions, Celeste. Namely, about that argument you had with your father.
Oh. Aw. You see the bailiff staring daggers at Celeste. It looks like they're waiting to take her back to her cell. Whatever questions you have for her will have to wait. I should probably go.
Okay.
Celeste walks away while avoiding eye contact with you. Bringing up her argument with Flinner may have struck a nerve.
I'll also use this opportunity to investigate the crime scene. I wouldn't be surprised if the Inquisition missed something.
You utterly embarrass them today. Don't expect them to make the same mistake twice.
Right. There are still a lot of things we don't know about.
As much as I hate to admit it, your skills of deduction far surpass mine. If anyone can figure out what really happened that night, it's you. Although it's a pretty good idea to say that I think I figured it out, but I'm just asking you to figure this out. All right, well, I think this is going to take a lot longer than maybe a weekend. So we'll pick this up sometime, but either way, we'll see everybody next time on B-Buds. All right, goodbye, everybody. Again.
Oh yeah.
You can say something at the end.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.